Welcome to the Always Becoming podcast with Dr. Lynn Santiago. Dr. Lynn and her guests explore two questions: who am I? And are we always becoming? We all have a becoming story. Be inspired by the personal becoming stories told by guests who share the risks and challenges, the successes and the letdowns, the joys and the heartaches they experience while on their own becoming journey. Here's your host, Dr. Lynn Santiago.
Hello, everyone. This is a very special episode because it is with a very special person in my life, my daughter, Nicole. I have been wanting to interview her for over a year, and I finally got the chance a few weeks ago when we spent a few days at the beach. Nicole moved to Seattle about going on 4 years now, and we only get to see each other about once a year. I know you're going to think I'm biased, but that's true. I am biased. She is the best daughter in the whole world, right? Just like everybody says about their children. I think when you listen to her, you're going to hear her talk about her move to Seattle, how she faced her fears, and how she used creative visualization to envision where she wanted to go and where she wanted to be. I think you will agree that the more recent chapters in her becoming story are great examples of what is meant by the concept manifestation and the concept creative visualization. And you will hear how she continues to go what resonates with her as she now has started a business doing what she loves. So, without further ado, here is Nicole.
Hi, Nicole.
Hi.
I am so glad. I've been telling you that I've been wanting to interview you for, I remember like last year when we were together, I said I want to interview you. And, that's because, of course, you're amazing and you're my daughter. But I watched you, of course, in your becoming journey. And I've been honored to be able to walk along in your becoming story for a while, but you grow up and things change. But I really like to know your perspective.
Yeah.
What do you think? Are we always becoming?
I think 100% we're always becoming. I think that, as you experience the world and the world affects you, you adjust and adapt and, your goals change and how you get your goals change. And so you're definitely always becoming, and you might not even realize it as you're doing it, but you're for sure always becoming.
Yeah. Well, I would agree with that. So the reason why I really was excited and wanting you to do the interview with you is because there have been things that I have seen in you in the more recent years that have surprised me. The biggest thing was your decision to move to Seattle, to go clear across the country. And I was really, it amazed me because I had kind of always seen you as a little bit anxious about things. And I said, how is she doing this? First, can you share the process of you actually making the decision? Like what resonated? Why Seattle?
Well, I think that first and foremost, I wasn't happy with where I was. And so that motivated me to want to just look elsewhere. And that was definitely like a huge propellant for me to like think about what I really wanted in life and who I wanted to be and where I wanted to be. And I was, researching, and I think that's a huge part of it as well. As I did so much research, I was like, how much does it cost to live there? What is the lifestyle like there? What type of people live there? What types of jobs are there? And so when I was thinking about where I wanted to go, because I wasn't happy essentially with where I was at, the place that I was at, the location, I was thinking about, well, I had to envision what my life, what I wanted my life to look like. And did this particular place look like that? And, I looked at a lot of different places, but Seattle really just, whether it was like something that I'd seen even in a movie or just like a song or the research I had done and the environment that I was seeing, it just really resonated with me. And so I just had to do all of that research to kind of connect that to what I was desiring when it came to like leaving where I was and moving into a new environment.
Mhm. You have always said that you are not going to stay in Florida.
Yeah.
You said that, yep, you were going to be moving out of Florida, and I thought that I expected that you'd move, but I thought it would be to New York.
Yeah.
New York
Yeah.
City, right? That was like where
Definitely.
you were going. So that I remember that October evening after a little family dinner,
Hmm.
you sat and told me, I'm going to Seattle.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay." But then you told me that you had, like, all of these plans out. You already had, figured out what you would need and what
Hmm.
you'd need financially and how much time you would need and what, I mean, all of these pieces. And I realized you already did all the creative, visualization of this.
Hmm.
That
And then
surprised
it
me.
was just logistics now.
Yeah.
Or, you kind of imagine, it's all the imaginative aspects and you're like, ooh, what does it look like? What does it look like? Could it happen? Will it happen? And then you kind of get past that. And then there's a point where now it's just like, well, I have to get down to the numbers. I have to think of it logically and logistically and like, how do I make it happen? It's not just about dreaming about it. It's like, what do I got to do? How
Mhm.
do I get there?
It's like you're not going to wake up in the morning and be in Seattle.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
That there were definitely things that you needed to do.
Mhm.
Uh, I I always look at this as that you're so courageous.
Mhm.
And I always talk about that being ourselves and becoming is does require us to be courageous because we have to lose. There are times when we lose things. That we don't. There's a lot of uncertainty. We don't know
Mhm.
what it's going to look like. Um,
Yeah.
just a lot of fears and everything. And so I was just amazed at how courageous you were. What did it feel like? Like, what was that like as you were
Yeah.
starting the process, as you were like giving notice to your job? I mean, yeah, I'm not going to do all the
Yeah.
talking.
No, I mean,
You had a
I
great job.
did. I did have a great job, and I feel like I actually did create a beautiful life for myself. At the point I was at, I did create some amazing things, and I had a great job, a great apartment. I was living in an area that I had dreamed about living even for, years beforehand. So I really did feel like I was at this place where I was like, man, I did something, but I really wanted more. And, whatever you imagine, it's never going to be like that anyways.
Hmm.
And that might have been part of like why I was on maybe wanting more. Um, but making the decision to leave all of that behind because I had worked hard to be in that place that I already was in.
Hmm.
Um, it was very difficult. And I don't know what it was about it. I just knew that I had reached this point and I just wanted some other next step.
Hmm.
There was something more for me or more that I wanted. And sometimes you take risks to get
Right,
something,
definitely.
you take a risk so that you can get something that's just a little bit better. And if you're not doing that, then you're stagnant and you're
Hmm.
just settling a little bit and you're like, and there's no such thing as being 100% happy, but at the same time, like you can't stay and not
And
strive for
stagnant.
something else. Yeah.
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 So was it scary to give your notice?
Oh my God, it was petrifying.
Well,
Ah, because you know what? I was so proud of, like I said, I was very proud of how I had gotten to where I was. And I was so grateful to the people who had helped me to get there.
mhm.
I had some really great mentors, the bosses, the people that I worked for at the
Is it okay
firm.
to name?
Yeah, Swope Dante. It was a law firm in Tampa, Florida, Ybor City, and Dale Swope and Angela Rodante truly saw something in me, I think, and they were like, let's nourish that and help this along, and I think that they um, really helped me come into my own when it comes to like a career and like a professional standpoint. I would not be able to I feel like sometimes I wouldn't be able to go further if I hadn't experienced them and their mentorship and them teaching me what they taught me. So it was really difficult to sever that or like to step away from that because I didn't want to disrespect what they had given me. And so it was really difficult to make that decision. Yeah.
You make a great point about that being trusting the process of thinking about the cup that you had today. No, and that you're where you need to be. And so you were there and you needed to be there. Like that's what you just said.
Yeah.
It's like I needed that before I can get to
To
the
the
next
next
step.
stage. Yeah,
Right.
exactly stage. They definitely were so influential and just important to allow me sounds silly, but it just like to give me what I needed to have in order to make those decisions, those tough decisions to move on and to do something else and something more that was in my heart.
You did a lot of growing up there.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing that you've been doing, which has been amazing in this past year, is that you have put together I always say
Yeah.
Etsy shop. And I want you to talk about that. But what amazes me about that is that I remember when you were like, I think 14 and eBay shops or whatever they were.
Yeah, I would so when I was around 14 years old, 13, 14, I think, I would buy things from thrift stores and I would kind of repurpose them or sew them up differently or create little jewelry with, things I got at Michael's and craft stores. And I would sell them on eBay. And so I had a little shop for myself then. And now I did start an Etsy shop and it's been something that like I didn't even think about happening in my life. I don't know. I think obviously with the state of the world and the pandemic, a lot of people are finding ways to spend their time because they either, are at home all the time or they have to come up with some sort of supplemental or stream of income. And when I was like thinking about like, what am I going to do right now? Etsy was, I don't know how it even came about, but Etsy was something that just happened. And I was like, oh, I'm really enjoying this. And I started an Etsy shop and I've started selling and it's been a lot of fun. And, successful even a little bit.
It's not just putting up shop, and selling stuff. You're creating. You've gotten back, I think just say, I call it like you've gone back and reclaimed that part of you that you might have left behind as you were doing all these other things that you needed to do, right? But then when you got all that done and you got yourself settled, you went back and reclaimed that other part of you that was very creative and entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
It's like you were doing that at 14 years old.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think when I was doing it back then, it was still entrepreneurial. But now I think when it first started, I was getting back into art in general, honestly, and I was painting using an iPad, like I was just creating more art, and I was thinking about how like people can have an income from this or just how can I monetize this? That sounds a little silly.
It's silly.
Maybe not silly, but just kind of like weird. People don't think that you can have a life, like a living.
I have a sign on one of my posters on my wall. It's do what you love.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then there's a saying, do what you love and the money will follow.
Yeah.
But the thing is that sometimes the money doesn't follow.
Yeah.
but doing what you love.
Is more important.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's probably where I was, like that sweet spot of like just doing what I love because it was just in my free time and it still is in my free time at this point. But it's like in my free time and I'm doing this thing that I do enjoy and I love it. And then I wanted to share that more. It's like people were responding to it and that felt good. And so then I leaned into that and I was like, all right, let's do more of that. And then it just built itself upon itself. And then all of a sudden I'm doing something that I'm enjoying doing so much.
So I went on your shop
hmm
and saw all of these. First off, I saw some kind of like what is it called?
Oh, they're called bestseller badges.
Bestseller
Yeah.
badges, and all of the 5 stars that you got, the
Yeah, the
reviews,
reviews.
and how many people have already purchased things from you. And it's only not, it hasn't even been a year.
No, yeah.
What did you think, when you started this, did you have kind of this idea of how this would kind of roll out?
I definitely didn't think in the very beginning, I didn't think too hard into it because I didn't want to kind of disappoint myself. But I just remember the enjoyment of it all. That as I was learning more about, the process and just like enjoying the designing all of the shirts and the sweaters and things like that. And I was just like really putting a lot more effort into it. I was recognizing that people were liking what I was doing and it just felt really good. I don't know. It
For people to say,
reinforced,
I like
it
that."
reinforces like, okay, all of this time and energy that I'm putting into something that I love doing, it reinforces that, you're on a path that is like a path you should be on. Like, keep going, like, do this. Like, this is working for you. It feels good. People are resonating with it. Keep going down this path and see where it goes. And it's kind of been a snowball effect. Like, it, the more that people are liking what I'm doing, the more I want to do it and the better I am at doing it. Kind of,
Yeah. Not so much that they like it, it's that they like it enough to buy it.
yeah. Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah. It's a really cool feeling for sure.
I'm so proud of you. You use the word resonate. I know I like to use that word too, and it kind of like bring you right on back to your decision to go to Seattle to begin with. It seemed like once you made that decision, it was almost a dominoes effect in the sense that everything just started to go click, click, click,
Yeah.
click, click.
It really
click.
did.
To me, that is what manifestation looks like.
Yeah. I really felt like I was doing something that I was supposed to be doing. It's like the path of least resistance or, that if I envision this thing that I want and I do all the work it takes to make it happen, the universe is going to either reward that or, the universe is going to tell you something. You're putting energy out there and it's telling me that I should keep going, or it's making it so smooth or seamless in the process that like you're building the momentum to keep going. And I feel like I picked up on that really early on in the process. And it really was like, this is like meant to be. Like, I need to keep doing this because the universe is telling me like this is working out so well that I should keep going like this.
Like take next step.
Exactly.
It really.
Yeah. And even like as silly or not as silly, but as simple as like even as simple as just in the planning process, like thinking about what I need to do to get it done and seeing all of these pieces and seeing like where they go and like, all right, like I've got it all mapped out. It's like, well, what's the next step? The next step is to do it. Right?
Yes.
So, like, if I've got all in my head and I've got the numbers of how much it's going to cost, and I've investigated all the different types of neighborhoods, and like if all of those things are kind of like lining up and they're in their places, and then like there's nothing more for me to do but to pull the trigger and go. And it felt very effortless, and like that was what was supposed to happen. And even when you dropped me off at the airport, it was scary, obviously, but it also didn't feel scary at all. Like it was just you dropping me off at the airport, me going off on my life.
And in the meantime, I'm crying all the way home.
Yeah. I don't know. I felt this like weird sense of calm, and like obviously I'm nervous and I was not feeling, but it was so right feeling that I was like, whatever I had done to get to this point was what I needed to do. And now I'm here, and now I need to experience the next thing to be able to decide what to do from that point. So, yeah, it just felt right.
It's important to mention that you didn't have a job lined up.
Yeah.
You quit your job. You gave in your notice for your apartment. You sold your stuff. You gave your stuff away. You moved in with me for a month, and you didn't have a job.
I was very trusting.
You were trusting the universe.
I was.
For sure. Trusting the process, trusting your journey. Yes. But that was another thing that just kind of fell in place.
Yeah. Like people do things and it's scary. Like, I mean, there's so many things that I do like in my daily life that it's like, I don't want to do it. It's scary. It like just feels like, ugh, like, and for some reason, not knowing if I would have a job lined up when I quit, I essentially like put in my notice for my other job. I was like, I'm doing this regardless. I'm doing it.
And me as your mama are going, Actually, no, I sat back and I went, this is the kind of stuff that, I believe in. And here she's doing this, and I'm just like amazed.
Yeah, I was worried that you didn't think it was going to work out.
Well, I was,
for your daughter, you're nervous.
I'm nervous for my child, my baby. And, so, but I had to do some trusting the process too, right? And trusting my own journey to step back and allow you that space to make these decisions and experience what you need to experience. And they say that what moms want the most is their kids to be happy. And that is what I have seen in these, 4 years, almost 4 years since you left. Yeah, I've seen you very happy. And that's wonderful.
I think it really is a combination, though, of doing your research and, doing the work that you need to do and trusting the process. Yeah, because I think that there is other things that I've experienced, and like I said, the path that you're on and the things that you need to experience before you can get to the next one. A lot of it is hard work. Like it's just like you're really, feeling it as you're going through it. And part of it is just relinquishing yourself to it. And some of it is, and some of it is like putting in the work. It's a combination. For sure.
I'm thankful for you to do this interview. You're getting ready to go back, get on a plane and go back to Seattle after we've just spent a few days here at the beach, just hanging out, chilling out.
Yeah. It's been lovely being back, I'm so happy that I made that move to Seattle.
I'm so happy to be going back home. Well, I guess it's time to go. And again, I want to thank you, and I'm so proud of you, and so happy to have had this time with you. Thank you for sharing all of this with everybody.
Of course, definitely glad to share it, and hopefully it helps and resonates with other people in their journey.
I'm sure it will.
So there you have it. I hope that you enjoyed listening to my daughter's becoming story, or at least some parts of her story and parts of mine as well. Of course, she's my daughter, and I'm very proud of her. However, I really do believe that she has a lot to say, and I hope that you learned from her story, that you learned that it is scary to go with what is resonating. There are potential losses. You have to let go of things. There's a lot of uncertainty. You really truly don't know whether the things that you are wanting to happen will happen, even as you are creating this visualization. I hope that you learned from her story, that you learned that it is scary to go with what is resonating, what is pulling you, even if it means that there are things you may need to let go of, or people you need to let go of, or maybe some losses. It still is telling you where you're supposed to go. So don't let scary get in the way of you doing what feels right and what feels right for you on this life journey. It is your journey. It is your life. So I forgot to ask Nicole for a favorite quote. So I decided I'd choose one myself. Now, this is a quote by Shakti Gawain in her book, Creative Visualization. I read this book back in the early 90s, and it is one of the first books that made such an impact on me and that kind of started me on my quest to understand more. So here it is. We always attract into our lives whatever we think about most, believe most strongly, expect on the deepest level, and imagine most vividly. So keep that in mind as you travel along your becoming path this week. This has been an incredible experience for me as I get to meet amazing people that I never would have met before, even across the globe. Share this episode and others with family and friends. Subscribe so that you can keep up with new episodes and get daily words of wisdom, other becoming stories when you follow me on Instagram at becoming_with_Dr. Lynn, Lyne. Thank you for listening to the Always Becoming podcast. This has been an incredible experience for me. I have been getting to meet amazing people across the globe. It has certainly been part of my own becoming story, and I hope that you are enjoying it as much as I am enjoying it. Please share this episode, other episodes with your family and friends, and subscribe so that you can keep up with new episodes. For daily words of wisdom and becoming stories, follow me on Instagram at becoming_with_Dr. Lynn, Lyne.